Uh, Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here in the capital of the European Union among so many close friends of mine. My special thanks goes first to Mark Fitzpatrick for his invitation for me to speak today on non-proliferation and security in the Middle East. I think this topic is of utmost importance given the transformational changes underway in the political landscape in the Middle East. The Arab Spring will, without doubt, change existing fundamental dynamics and will have significant implications on the political and security setting of the region. In particular, we need to closely follow the unfolding of political developments that we all see, which are changing almost on a daily basis, and will discern their impact definitely on both non-proliferation and security in the Middle East. Just let me note here also that I want to add the word of disarmament to the title of this session, because security in the Middle East will not only be achieved through promoting non-proliferation, but more importantly through disarming those who possess weapons of mass destruction and play a central role in aggravating an arms race in the region. Now, I want you to bear with me. I have 5 subtitles that I will try to go through quickly with some of my own ideas. Now, the first on the Arab Spring. Let me start by making a few remarks. I believe that the Arab Spring will have a significant impact, not only on domestic issues, but also on foreign policy and disarmament being included. Arab governments will become more accountable to their people, and especially the younger generation in the streets, and that will have an impact that will make these aspirations along the line with the foreign policy in the years to come. Public opinion will play a more significant and prominent role in the formulation, as the parliaments with their foreign affairs committees, Arab affairs committees, national security committees will definitely become more involved in the formulation of the foreign policies in several Arab countries which have undergone the Arab Spring. Issues such as Israel's non-adherence to the NPT, the establishment of a zone free of nuclear weapons in the Middle East, the unfolding of the Iran file with its complexities, and the encouragement of the peaceful uses of nuclear energy are issues which are expected to be considered seriously during the years ahead. Although these issues were also at the forefront of previous decision makers in several Arab countries, including Egypt, there is an expectation that they will adopt a more assertive voice on these issues. Even though a dramatic U-turn in policy is not foreseen, at least in the very imminent future, but the Arab Spring would undoubtedly synchronize foreign policy objectives with the aspirations of the people. The second subtitle is on the nuclear-free zone in the Middle East, and this is an issue that Egypt places great importance to during the upcoming review cycle of the NPT, which follows, of course, the adoption of the comprehensive final document and concrete action plans, including the action plan on the implementation of the Middle East 95 resolution at the successful NPT Review Conference 2010. The Middle East remains a highly volatile region, troubled with protracted conflicts, and the acquisition by states of such weapons can only contribute to greater instability, aggravate tensions, and lead to an accelerated arms race in the region. It is imperative, therefore, to complete the implementation of existing regional nuclear weapon-free zones and work actively to establish zones free of weapons of mass destruction, particularly and most urgently in the Middle East. I want to stress that this issue must not be treated as business as usual. Simply, business is no longer as usual. Since the NPT Review and Extension Conference in '95 and the adoption of the resolution on the Middle East, this year we will have for the first time a significant opportunity to embark on a process that would lead to the establishment of such a zone. There is this opportunity that we must capitalize on. The 2012 Mid-East Conference, to be held in Finland, Helsinki, as called for by the 2010 document will be a milestone in that respect. Now, this conference should not be viewed as a one-time event, but rather the beginning of a process that should culminate in the adoption of a legally binding treaty text with concrete measures as efficient verification modes, accounting regime, institutions regionally, under international, and with the involvement of the International Atomic Agency from Vienna. Now, I will point out just a few provisions that I see that should be included in that respect. One is dismantling and destroying existing or remaining nuclear weapon capabilities, facilities, and devices under international verification mechanisms. Two is renouncing nuclear weapons through refraining from conducting any indigenous development and activities related to nuclear weapons. Three is prohibiting stationing of any nuclear explosive devices within the zone. Four is prohibiting nuclear explosive testing in the zone. Five, using nuclear materials and facilities only for peaceful uses. Six, placing all nuclear facilities in the region under comprehensive IAEA safeguards. Then establishing the necessary relevant institutions and mechanisms to uphold such a zone free of nuclear weapons and other weapons of mass destruction, and addressing, of course, the role of the agency and other relevant organizations as the OPCW and others. Now, the participation in the Middle East Conference should be inclusive. The conference should include Israel, Iran, and the members of the League of Arab States, as well as the nuclear weapon states and other relevant international organizations. There is a need to determine the criteria that will be applied to allow observers to participate as well. In this respect, the Secretary General of the United Nations and the 3 states depositories of the treaty have been entrusted with the responsibility of convening the conference in consultation with all the states of the region. The role of the facilitator, Ambassador Laeva from Finland, is one that is very much appreciated in this process. Now, in the build-up of that process, there needs to be a lot of benefit and guidance taken from other regional nuclear-free zones. I'll just go through that briefly. Others like Rarotonga, Tlatelolco, Pelindaba, and Bangkok treaties should be drawn upon, as well as relevant institutions like the ABAC and the Euratom in that respect. Now, these were some of the preliminary ideas for the zone, but in addition to that, there are other topics which have a direct bearing on the security of the region as well. I'll point out here to 3 of them. The right to peaceful uses of nuclear energy is one. We need to reaffirm the inalienable right for the peaceful use of nuclear energy and oppose additional restrictions on the peaceful uses of nuclear energy. We need to respect each other's choices and decisions in that field and undertake to facilitate the fullest possible exchange of equipment, materials, scientific and technological information for the peaceful uses of nuclear energy and for the nuclear upsurge peaceful one in the Middle East. Countries should work to facilitate transfers of nuclear technology and international cooperation within the NPT Articles 1, 2, 3, and 4. Second point is the fundamental role of the NPT, which must be reinforced in order to achieve nuclear disarmament in the Middle East. Nuclear weapon states cannot expect non-nuclear weapon states to indefinitely tolerate a situation where they are threatened by nuclear weapons, whether by NPT states or by those outside the treaty. This is why the issue of the NPT universality is also central in the build-up of a secure, stable Middle East. Nuclear disarmament in the Middle East should also take place within the efforts and the international efforts done, whether it is within the NPT, the 2000 and 2010 documents, or if it is within the Global Zero campaign that we have been witnessing. The Middle East is no exception to that. The whole issue of double standards should end at this point. A third point is on issues related to compliance. it is essential to support the calls to ensure the strict compliance with the provisions of the NPT. Compliance with the NPT is critical to strengthening the treaty. However, compliance with the treaty's provisions should not focus solely on the non-proliferation issues, which tends to be the inclination of several states, but rather also compliance with all the provisions of the treaty, which include nuclear disarmament, that is Article 6, as well as those pertaining to Article 4. Finally, before concluding, I want to emphasize the central role of the NGOs and the civil society in the future of security in the Middle East. In the upcoming NPT review cycle, we need to encourage the participation of non-governmental organizations. They provide opportunities to present constructive ideas and initiatives which could be helping in achieving global disarmament, but also regional disarmament. There is a necessity to encourage and recognize the important role they play, and that has been actually incorporated in the final document of the NPT Review Conference. I believe that the 2012 Mid-East Conference and the process that follows should be inclusive to allow a more genuine, candid, and necessary interaction about nuclear disarmament, dismantlement, nuclear rollback, transparency or openness, as His Royal Highness indicated, accountability and verification. All these ingredients must be included. There has not been such an interaction for many years, and all the opportunities, in my view, exist at this stage. We should welcome also the EU consortium in this respect and try to engage it more with their counterparts in the Arab world and in the Middle East. In conclusion, it is worth recalling the key successes in nuclear disarmament, which included South Africa's historic decision to dismantle its nuclear weapons, Argentina's and Brazil's decision to roll back their nuclear programs, and to create actually the verification bilateral agencies, and the decisions by Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Ukraine to transfer nuclear weapons back to Russia. These actions by these states to give up nuclear programs and weapons deserve greater recognition and acknowledgement, for they set an excellent example for other states, including the ones in the Middle East, to move away and to follow that course. I believe it is imperative for countries to realize at this stage how dramatically the region is changing in the Middle East. This in turn requires modifications in the behavior and the approach of many. What was possible and acceptable before may not necessarily be plausible or tolerable today. All of us need to adapt to the changing realities on the ground and realize that our approach to security needs to be reviewed. The establishment of a zone free of nuclear weapons and all other weapons of mass destruction can safeguard both regional and international peace and security at this critical moment. We have an opportunity ahead of us. Let's not miss it. Thank you.